Hello, hello. We are back for another week of Launch Coach Football. And this week we have a special guest. We have a former sports reporter who has been published for a daily newspaper as well as the USA Today, and a current and also a three-time published poet. My older brother, Matthew Johnson.
Hey Daniel, I'm really glad to be here. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I listen to it weekly, so I love talking about football. So I'm definitely excited because we talk about football all the time. So it'd be cool to actually have our conversations recorded.
Yeah, hopefully there's gonna be a lot less. Hopefully there's going to be a lot less yelling and name calling this time.
I cannot promise that. I cannot promise the name call, not calling you names. So we'll see.
Yeah, Chelsea has a family emergency, so hopefully she'll be. Let's all keep her in our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully she'll be back soon.
Definitely,
But
yes.
but this has been I wouldn't say crazy, but an interesting week. Week four of football, week of football, and I know we both are happy with all results. But I know one team, or I guess two teams that aren't happy with their results it's one of the craziest Sunday night games we've seen that ended in a tie, and I got very little sleep because I was staying up all night to watch it. So the Cowboys and the Packers, like, what do we take from this? What can we take from a tie?
I know you mentioned your fanhood as a Steelers fan, Chelsea's fanhood as a Colts fan. So I will say my fanhood up front as a Giants fan. So I'm everything anti-Dallas. So I was expecting a Green Bay blowout. So I was very disappointed to wake up to see like why was there a tie? Why was Dallas keeping this game competitive? I thought Green Bay was like really good. So if I'm a Dallas fan, a tie, like you said, like a tie is very awkward. But if you're a Dallas fan, you're probably okay with those results. But if you're Green Bay, you're like kind of disappointed. Like, what happened, guys? So
Yeah, Green Bay, their defense just didn't show. And I'm not gonna say it's going to be worrying because obviously Green Bay, they are one of the more complete teams in the NFL. But Micah, everyone thought this would be the great Micah revenge game. He had
he had a
one big,
game-saving tackle, which
yeah,
is important.
yeah, I'll give you that. He had a big play at the end, but I guess everyone thought like a 5, 6 sack game, which probably was a little too crazy. But the
Yeah,
fact that a CD Lamb less Cowboys team and Dak was just airing it out against Green Bay the entire game. Like we expect Dallas to give up 40 points. That's just Dallas's defense at the moment. The fact
yeah.
that the Green Bay's defense was just surprising because they against Detroit they looked very dominant. And I figured Detroit's better than Dallas.
Yeah, it seems like this inconsistency, not just with the defense, but with the team overall, just because, they were upset by Cleveland a few weeks ago when, like, everyone's pointing to Cleveland as probably like a top five, top three pick in the draft next of this upcoming year. And, like, I feel like most people were expecting, like, Dallas, like, to lose this game probably in a blowout. And for them to, like, keep it close, I think it's very impressive with Dallas. I'm afraid that for Dak in this offense, he might become like what Joe Burrow was last year, where he's putting up these monster numbers. He's playing really good, but that defense is going to hold that team back. But then with Green Bay, you're like, where do we go from here? Just because you look good early, then you've been kind of stumbling these past few weeks. So, I'm really interested in how both these teams like turn out. Just because, with Dallas, you can always talk about Dallas, and then Green Bay was kind of like this hot team, and now they're cooled down for a little bit. So, I'm very interested just to see how these both teams like go out these next few weeks. So, yeah.
Well, I said injuries definitely hurt Green Bay, but two teams, also big teams in the NFC that's been hurt by injuries and have a disappointing week four. San Fran and Minnesota, which as a Steelers fan, I was very happy to see the result in Minnesota, but also as someone who had placed that San Francisco's go win the division, not that happy about that game. So, what's your thoughts about two of the more, I guess, powerhouses, you would say, playoff contenders in the NFC?
I feel like with Minnesota, I think I was really concerned, and I feel like this was something like not a lot of people were talking about in the offseason. They had a wonderful season last year, and they like revitalized Sam Darnold. But a quarterback change to someone who's like essentially a rookie because JJ McCarthy didn't play at all last year. I didn't. That was a big deal, and I feel like that wasn't getting talked a lot about enough this offseason. So I was already concerned about them going into this season, and Carson Wentz played like okay well last week, and then he kind of reverted to like what we've seen of Carson Wentz. So I'm very concerned about like Minnesota just because of the passing game. I love their coach. Their coach is Kevin O'Connell. I think he's one of the best coaches in the sport. But I'm just concerned about like if this offense could ever get going, just because they have the skill position guys. But I'm very iffy about the quarterback position, both with Wentz and with JJ McCarthy potentially coming back.
I will say this about the Vikings game. they were down two offensive linemen early on, and it shows because Wentz was getting destroyed I think he had 6 or 7 sacks, Pittsburgh did. So I
Yeah.
think it does not help when you're down with multiple offensive linemen and you have your backup quarterback in. So I don't know, like but they hopefully they can rebound from that. But San Francisco, they
Yeah.
they're just they just like kicked a leprechaun, stepped on stepped on a crack, threw a black cat in the street.
Stepped on all the cracks, saw all the black cats.
I don't like. I guess it's expected their fine will fall off because just the way how injured they are. But yeah, it's still not good for San Francisco to. They need to get as many wins as possible because that's just going to be the competitive division.
Yes, and I mean, even though I mean, another team that I was a little iffy on going into the season, I must so far give credit to Jacksonville, just because even though San Francisco was depleted with all these injuries, they still had to go out and like win that game. And Jacksonville forced, I believe, like 4 turnovers in that game, and I mean that's really impressive. I mean, against any team, forcing 4 turnovers is like really good. Is like a really good defensive performance. So I like this Jacksonville team so far. I mean, and then they're playing Houston, which has kind of stumbled out the gate. They're playing Tennessee, which has been arguably the worst team in the league. So I mean, those I mean, they could potentially. I mean, it's them and Indy. I feel like maybe towards the top of that AFC South crown.
We have to really think. Jacksonville was honestly a drop pass from Brian Thomas and a crazy miracle drive from Jake Browning away from being undefeated. Is Jacksonville a good team? Like, are they a team that you can seriously consider like as not maybe good enough to win the division? Is this actually a team that's good enough to do something in the playoffs?
I feel like this. I mean, it's still early in the season, but we have a
Yeah.
month of games to see, and I'm not sure if there's like an actual like great dominant team right now, which kind of shows. I mean, yes, I think Jacksonville is a good team, and I also think Indy's a good team. But it's also like, do I really trust those teams? And there are a lot of teams I don't really trust right now. So I mean, on paper, yes, I would definitely say like they're a good team, but like, would you trust them going on the road to face Buffalo or maybe hosting Baltimore or hosting Pittsburgh? I mean, you don't know, but you also like, do you really trust Baltimore right now? Do you trust Pittsburgh right now? So like, I don't know. So I mean, I don't know. It's not like the best answer, but I mean, I just feel like there's a bunch of I don't know. So
No, this parody has been insane, honestly. Parody is the story of most professional leagues at this point because I look at Jacksonville and you just say, oh, Jaguars, they're going to be Jaguars, and you're like, oh, they're ETN's move is running the football. They're giving their top running back the football.
who would
Was
have thought? Who would have thought that worked?
and even they like Travis Hunter has been anything special, but Lawrence has been pretty good. He still throws some. He still has like the one or two really dumb balls a game, but yeah, Jacksonville is. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be an interesting NFC South because we who expected the Colts to be so competitive, but one team we knew wasn't going to be competitive, the Cleveland Browns, and at
Hmm.
this point, okay, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders cannot be that bad. They cannot be as bad as what we've seen so far from the corpse of Joe Flacco.
I mean, it's sad watching Joe Flacco at this point. I mean, I love that he's someone who just like he really obviously loves playing football just because I mean, someone at his age. I mean, someone at his age usually does not play quarterback in the NFL. But I mean, he's going out and he's still slinging the pill. But yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like we're kind of getting to the point now where you're Cleveland, where you really want to see. I mean, you used 2 draft picks on 2 rookie quarterbacks, so you definitely want to see at least one of them. And I mean, since you used two, why not see them both? So I mean, I definitely feel like we're getting to the point now where Kevin Stefanski, who I think is a good coach, has just been dealt in a terrible situation. I
Yeah,
think it's time for him to kind of maybe this week, maybe following weeks, but I feel like definitely before Halloween, there should probably be a change in Cleveland at the quarterback position.
I just feel so bad for Cleveland because I'm watching that defense. Like this is
Oh
honestly
man.
what like they have probably the best defensive player on in the NFL on the defensive line, still wrecking people's like just getting the back of any time. They have so much. They are literally one quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. They are
I
what
really thought, I
average
mean,
quarterback.
I mean, going into the season, I knew they would be like a bottom dweller in the league, but I did not think they would be like a team like Tennessee because I feel like Tennessee, like they could potentially like maybe
Yeah,
win 1, 2, 3 games. I could definitely see Cleveland winning. I mean, there's not much difference between like 2 and like 4, but I mean, I could definitely see Cleveland winning 4 or 5, maybe even 6 games. I mean, they beat Green Bay a few weeks ago on the back of that defense. I mean, there like you said, there were studs all over the field on defense, and like their offensive talent is not like out not amazing, but it's still solid. But like the quarterback position, that's the thing that's really holding them back. So
Well, you can say the same thing about one of our two Monday night teams, which I don't know which quarterback you say is holding them back, but Dolphins finally got a win. The Jets are still looking for their first win, but the Dolphins win was kind of pyrrhic with one of the ugliest injuries you will probably see with Tyreek going down. So. Yeah, it's going to be. I'm surprised that the Jets don't have a win so far this season. Because but they played such an ugly game Monday night. It was you knew it was bad. It was just mental mistakes and physical mistakes. And the worst one has to be when it was early in the fourth quarter and the guy fair catch the punt at the 2 yard line instead of getting out the. It's the Jets. It's ultimate Jets football, but it's still ultimate Dolphins football. That even in the victory, your season's over.
it's I mean because I mean I like Aaron Glenn. I really do. I remember him as a Jet, and I mean I of course I remember him in the classic NFL FIFA video game as one of the fastest players in the game. But I mean. And I know he said this often in press conferences so far this season, like this is a new Jets team. We're doing things different. But then they're doing similar Jet things of making these mistakes, making these like bad penalties. So I mean, the Jets season I mean, all these teams. I feel like a lot of these teams are so interesting this season, just because the Jets, even though they're 0-4, they're like a stronger. I mean, 0-4 than say like maybe even. I don't even know. I mean, like a team that has like 1 or 2 wins, just because they've been competitive in 3 out of their 4 games. It's just feel like
Yeah.
they had late starts in 2 of their games, and there was like this last game, I mean last night, where even though I mean the score, I think the game was a little bit closer, especially in the second half, than like the score indicates. So and then with Miami, I mean, even like you said, like it's a win, but in a win in a we have a loss in a win just because Tyreek's gone, and that's probably your most dynamic player on offense. So like, where do you go from here? I mean, you're glad you got the win. Mike McDaniel, like his hot seat gets a little bit cooler, but now like from now on, I mean, where does this offense go? So
Well, like, yeah, I think this was supposed to be for the Jets. It's kind of understanding of a building year. You kind of get an idea, feel off everything. The Dolphins, this was the year you have to do something in the playoffs, or you potentially lose Tua and lose Mike McDaniel and lose Chris Greer. So I don't. If he's the boy genius like everyone says he is, hopefully he can do something. Like, Waddle's still there. Their tight end, Dan Waller, he just had he had a
oh
big
man.
coming up, but no, I think you would know everything about pyrrhic victories because you may have a quarterback, but you certainly don't have a receiver anymore, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, as a Giants fan, it was a very I mean, it's like I'm saying something in therapy, like as a Giants fan.
Why can't I just Giants and Jets fans? Why can't I be happy? Like Buffalo's like I'm carrying this entire stinking city's football team right now.
So, as a Giants fan, I mean, it was definitely like an excitement. It was exciting just to see Jackson Dart going in like at that first snap, I mean that first drive. He looked really good. And then, I mean, it was a rookie adjusting to one of the best defenses in the league. And I mean, the San Diego's defense started playing a lot. I mean, they played really great. I feel like in that second half and after that first drive, it's just the Giants really got fortunate. Just I mean, as I knew as a follower of this team, the strength of that team is the defensive line with Dexter Lawrence, arguably the best defensive
Yeah,
defensive tackle in the league, and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, and of course the first round pick Abdul Carter. And I know the Chargers, they lost Joe Alt, arguably one of the best tackles in the league. And to see Herbert was like scrambling most of that game just because they're down some of their best linemen in the game. They're down some of their best linemen, and they're facing like this elite pass rush. And I feel like the Giants, I mean, it was an interesting game. The Giants got really fortunate in terms of like the defense really stepping up, because there have been so many games these past few years where the defense will play well, but then the offense will stutter. But I feel like the offense did just enough to kind of hold on, just because the Chargers definitely had a chance late in that fourth quarter, but the Giants did just enough to play a little smart at the end and held on to the win. So it was the first win of the season, which is always good. So it was nice to wake up on a Monday morning and actually have like a win and see a one next to the L, next to the I mean, excuse me, a one next to the W on the website
yeah.
on the internet.
On in the newspaper and the
Yeah, I was
smoke
gonna say
signals.
newspaper. I was gonna say newspaper. I know a lot of people don't read the newspaper anymore, so which is sad. So yeah.
I just the Chargers. I had them win the AFC West. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. 4-0 start. You know, you're facing a rookie quarterback, and why are they down 14-0, or why are they down so much? And then really, it's just it's tough monster again, just tough monster MetLife. Odell was tweeting out about that stuff. I feel bad for. Malik Neighbors. And I think I was listening to the Lebatard show. I think one of the producers said, why don't they just like why don't Jason Johnson just build a team of just running backs and just like we're just gonna be a power team? Because clearly we can't protect our outside receivers with this with the turf here, which is
I mean, I would say historically, I mean, the Giants and Jets have historically been like more run-oriented teams. I know with the old stadium, it was just with the swirling winds of the Meadowlands, it was tough with passers. And as I mean, I personally on as a television fan, I personally like the old stadium more. I wish I mean, I don't want to be nostalgic, but like back in my day, like the old stadium had some grit, it had some grime. I love the old stadium, watching it, seeing it on TV, actually going to a game. And like there weren't injuries like this as often, seemingly as often as this new MetLife Stadium. So I mean, it's easy for me to say like, why don't we just change this to grass or change it to a different version of turf? But I mean, I just wish I don't know the owners would maybe kind of come together and like trying to put their heads around this. Like, why did this keep happening? So
I always say that the second when it's going to change this summer when the World Cup happens and two or three of the best players from Spain or England blow out their knees and there's going to be an actual international incident. Like you've killed the beautiful game.
I mean, it's a
But
shame. I mean, it's a shame that I guess. I mean, I could definitely seeing that happen, but it would just be a shame that it would be like I guess reactive rather than preventive. So.
well, one turf you don't have to worry about is the old Irish turf out in Dublin, where the black and gold got another victory. And I think we have to start seriously considering that the Steelers are a legit, I'm not even gonna say playoff, a legit dark horse Super Bowl team. Because that was
You
right.
know,
That's been
yeah, I'm sorry.
that was the best I've seen the Steelers play until they, they just decided to go for it instead of just kick the field goal. But that's a whole other topic. The one thing I'm worried about Pittsburgh is they just lost like Jalen Ramsey and Slay and Darius Slay. They both went down for a second. They both came back to play, but they don't have the best depth in terms of secondary. Joey Porter Jr. still hasn't played. They haven't bye week, so hopefully Evan can get back a little healthier. But that front seven is still dominant. They're gonna get Highsmith back hopefully in a few weeks. Harmon has looked like a great no, a great interior lineman for Pittsburgh. Watt is still JJ TJ Watt, the lesser Watt JJ.
Okay.
No.
Here comes the name calling.
And Rodgers is playing just efficient football. Like the first snap of the game, he got sacked, and after that, they said, "Okay, we're just gonna do quick drops and quick releases," and it worked. Like this is just the Steelers formula, and I don't see how in this very parity heavy AFC that they can't be one of the elite teams in the conference. And I said, knowing I'm biased as I don't know what, and I don't care.
Dale, we know we talk about this like off camera, but I mean, most of these past few years, I have not been a big fan of like the Steelers in terms of like them potentially like going deep. But like this Steelers team, and how I felt about this, I feel like the Steelers team can actually like do something just because I mean, Aaron Rodgers, what he was doing, like I guess off the field with the Jets, I mean that didn't help, but like on the field last year, I thought he looked good. I mean, obviously not to like his MVP form with the Packers, just being, I
Yeah,
mean, his age and his Achilles injury. But I mean, he's always been like one of the smartest quarterbacks in terms of like just protecting the ball, not making the big mistakes. I mean, the Steelers defense is still really good. So I was very confident in the Steelers potentially like doing something this year just because and actually like winning a playoff game for the first time in who knows how long. With if Aaron Rodgers could stay healthy and upright, just because he's a good quarterback, Tomlin's a good coach, has a good defense, and like that's a great formula. And this AFC is not is I mean even the with KC with Kansas City. The traditional powers like Kansas City and Baltimore, like they've looked a little iffy this year. So like, why not the Steelers? When we have those three trifecta of good coach, good quarterback, and good defense. So you know how I feel about the Steelers team. I think they could actually do something this year
thank you.
as an unbiased Steelers fan,
As an unbiased
as an
fan.
unbiased not Steelers fan.
No, it's just so fun to see competent quarterback play. It's been so long because my whole thing is like they've made the playoffs with some of the worst quarterback play for a playoff team I've seen in like years. Like, and they weren't
Yeah.
even like backups; they were the stars. Like they're throwing out the stars out there, and they were just look. They had no shot. So you have Rodgers, who is still an above average quarterback. You still have someone who can occasionally show flashes of the MVP stuff, even if it's not there all four quarters. It's My the biggest concern to me is always just going to be that secondary. It's always going to be
Yeah.
like, is can they stay healthy? Can they get back to what they want to do? And because there's no one else really in the conference that again is pulling away. And then you have the injuries to Cincinnati. So Joe Burrow got injured, so he's probably done. This and yeah, it's just why not us? It's like one of those why not us? And I'm sure even if they're the best team in the AFC or one of the best teams in the AFC, it just thinks that they're not even the best team in their own state because I still think the Eagles are just so much better than everyone else. And it's not, people are complaining about Philadelphia and they haven't lost a game since I think they matched the Patriots mark of like 20 wins and 21 attempts from the back-to-back years.
I mean, as a Giants fan, for the longest time, I was kind of like, in terms of like the NFC East rivals. I mean, that it was really only Dallas that I actively disliked. I generally liked like the Eagles of like Andy Reid, Brian Dawkins, Donovan McNabb. But these past few years, maybe because I'm sure it has to do with the winning, but Eagles fans have become a lot more annoying. and but like
What happened to you, Philadelphia? You speak
Yeah,
for
like
us.
what happened to Philadelphia? But it's also, I mean, you can't knock them for that just because I do think, I had predicted that they would get back to the Super Bowl this year, just because I don't know, I'm not even sure if they played their best ball this year yet, and they're still, I mean, they're 4-0 right now, and they knocked off Tampa Bay, who's leading the NFC South. They knocked off Kansas City in Kansas City, and I mean Jalen Hurts. I mean, I remember there's a famous quote a few weeks ago, and Chris Jones was like, you didn't even throw like 150, 100 yards on us, like, and they still won. And I know in the second half of this game, Jalen Hurts did not have like a huge scoring game, and they still won. So I mean, this Philadelphia Eagles team, I feel like it's just like loaded at every position on both sides of the ball. So I hate to see it, but I do think they're going to probably get back to the Super Bowl. So
It's just so ridiculous that they have two Pro Bowl caliber, maybe an all pro receivers, and they're not even using them that much. And I know one of them's about to crash out, which I understand. But it's like, yeah, they're not at full strength right now. They're kind of just easing their way. They're pushing their way to victory. For what
yeah.
the last ride, the last tush, the last push. But yeah, I don't like. I think I had them. Oh man, this goes to our last two topics. I had them winning the Super Bowl, and I had them being the Baltimore Ravens.
Hmm.
And at this point, we just have to face facts. Baltimore's not a good team. I know we just got the news. The news just broke earlier that Lamar Jackson is going to be out for 2 3 weeks with his hamstring. They're losing their best defensive player to a season-ending injury. The what's his name? Nabi Mata Buke. They're losing him for the year. Even without him, the defense has not looked. It's gotten lit up by the Lions. It got lit up by who they lose to in like week 1 by Josh Allen and the Bills. And again, Josh Allen and the Lions, those are good teams. You're gonna have to play them in the playoffs though. Their one win was against the Cleveland Browns, and even then the Browns kept it close until basically the defense just said we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So Baltimore's not a good team right now. Even before all the injuries, they're just not a good team. And I'm starting to think if they keep going down like this could be like a horrible Andy Reid his last year in Philly situation where we know you're a good coach, but it might be a time for a change.
I'm afraid. I mean, because I feel like going into each season, most pundits and analysts like they like kind of separate the league by like these are the contenders, these are like the pretenders, these are like the bad teams. And usually like, among those contenders, teams usually like a team that's expected to do well kind of struggles. I remember last year, I feel like that team was like San Francisco. And with all the injuries and the Super Bowl hangover, and I feel like this year it might be Baltimore, both with the defensive injuries they're having, with Derrick Henry, even though he's having a really good season, but like the fumbles, that's
Yeah.
never been like an issue for him in the past. And like Lamar's another year older, and that athleticism each year kind of slowly, gradually goes down. And I feel like I mean, it's obviously early in the season, so they can still turn it around. But with that defense, and it's usually defenses don't usually come from like from bad to like good again in the middle of the season. That's a lot to do. So I mean, at this point, I would probably not pick them to go to the playoffs, which would be like one of the biggest surprises as we go on through this season.
It was just so painful watching the KC game like last this past week because it was one of those things where KC almost was like toying with them. Like, and this was like a KC offense that had looked terrible. this is probably the best game Patrick Mahomes has played since like the first of his back-to-back Super Bowl wins. Like you add Xavier Woody and Woody's solid, but he like it's not like you added Calvin Johnson, but you added one receiver and that was just it. Like Spagnuolo seems to have Lamar's number. You love Spagnuolo if you and your
Oh, Spags.
yeah, you and your Giants fandom. And it was just I was watching, it's like, can you guys when Josh Allen plays the Chiefs, it's always a good game. And he always has a good game. Lamar doesn't usually have that good of a games against Kansas City. And yeah, it's one of those things like this might just be a season where everything that could go wrong goes wrong and it's disappointing to see. Well, not really, not for me, but it's interesting to see because I guess that week one loss comeback win for Buffalo just took the soul out of them or something.
I feel, excuse me. I feel like, I guess in terms of like opposites, in terms of like biggest surprises in like a positive way, I would probably say like at this point in the season, it would be the Colts. And probably the biggest disappointment so far would be like the Baltimore Ravens, just because all the expectations, all the hype. I mean,
I
they barely lost to Buffalo last year. They barely lost to KC like the year before that. So it's just like you expect them to be good this year, but then they're like really struggling. So I mean, I'm not sure they'll be able to turn around this year.
there's some kind of poetic justice that the biggest disappointment is the Ravens and the biggest best team is the Colts, seeing that they're kind of sort of history between the Baltimore Colts and all that jazz. But yeah, that goes to wait, like yeah, Chelsea ain't here, but we have to talk about the Colts finally lost a game. It was a very interesting game because they probably would have won if their receiver could hold on to the football, but we could talk about that more. But yeah, it's are the Colts really they have the best offense in football. I don't even think it's really much of an argument. Jonathan Taylor's been running like the best running back. Jones is in comp. He could win comeback player of the year, which is kind of funny because he's not coming back from an injury. He's just coming back from being bad.
He's just coming back from being a giant. And I
And
mean, you know how I feel about Daniel Jones. I
yeah,
was I was one of the last Giant fans. I planted my flag in the Daniel Jones for so
you
long.
you
I raged against the Redditors, against my group chat, against my family. I was a big Daniel Jones defender, but
you love
I knew after last year with everything that was happening, it's there's just a change needed to happen. But like I've always been a big fan of Daniel Jones, and it's been very happy to see him do really well this year. And like you said, I mean, there are a few mistakes from last week's game to being undefeated. I mean, at receiver, he had a holding penalty on the Jonathan Taylor one, which would have been like one of the best touchdown ones I've ever seen. He fumbled the ball at the goal line. So even though I mean I do think the Rams are a great team, I mean they're probably I guess if the Eagles are one in the NFC, 2 and 3, they're probably like the Lions and the Rams. So I really do believe in that Rams team. But I mean the Colts went toe to toe with them for most of that game. And outside of a handful of mistakes, I mean they would have beaten the Rams in at away. So I mean, I definitely do believe in. I can confidently, I can say it and not be ashamed. I do believe in Daniel Jones.
I just like how that's your favorite Daniel in your life. Also,
So far.
I just, I just noticed that that it was the Rams and the Colts. It was Matthew Stafford versus Daniel Jones. But no, like it's no. I think all of us expected Houston to be the team, but Houston doesn't like. It doesn't look like they have. That's CJ Stroud's been regressing. It's happy to see the artist formerly known as Danny Dimes, now Indiana Jones, is emerging as, a not gonna say MVP. It's the best way to compare it is like it's like Sam Darnold last year with
Yeah,
Minnesota.
yeah.
And but the thing is Sam Darnold last year in Minnesota ended the season terribly. So it's just gonna come down to are the Colts, at least at this moment, at the end of September, is there another team in the AFC that you would say is clearly better than them, or about on, or it's, not clearly, but are they the top team in the AFC at this moment? Would you say?
I would say, I mean, I at this point, I would say Buffalo would probably be one for me, just because I mean they went out the gate as I feel like the best team in the conference so far. I mean, I know New Orleans was actually played very competitively against them, but
Yeah,
at this point, I would say Buffalo's one. I actually feel like Kansas City might be turning around. I know they played a bad Baltimore defense, but you have probably the best quarterback in the sport. You have an offensive genius in Andy Reid. Once the receivers kind of get back, I think that offense could start going again. And that, I mean, and the game against Baltimore was kind of like a sign that this could that of what that could look like. Three, I mean, I feel like that 3, 4, 5 window is probably a toss up between like Pittsburgh and Indiana and Indianapolis, excuse me, Indianapolis and Jacksonville. And even I know you commented on Houston, but even though Houston played Tennessee, who's probably the worst team in the sport, I mean they're about to face a Baltimore team without Lamar, without a
Yeah.
lot of key defensive pieces. So if they win that game, they're like 2-3, and they're kind of back into like the conversation again. So I mean, I definitely think Kansas City and Buffalo right now are the clear top two. But then like 3 to 5 is like a meddling pot of Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, potentially Houston, potentially. Oh, I didn't even mention the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers are a good team, even though they fell to the Giants the other day. So I would probably say like those are probably like that collection of teams would probably be like the 3 through 7 spot for me.
That's the fact that the Giants tell me they're not worth anything. No. But I don't know. It's again, it's only been 1 month in, and already the season has been absolutely insane. Who had the Colts be I think I joke like the Colts look like the 06, 05 Colts with Edgerrin James and Peyton Manning and stuff after the first few weeks. The punters just collecting paychecks. He has a,
He finally went to work this weekend.
he's
It took him almost a month, but he finally went to work this
It would have been
weekend.
hilarious if he had to like he actually punted like 5 yards or something. Just like, what do you
Sorry, guys, I'll
expect?
get some more practice in.
But no, that just means week 4 is in the book, September's in the book, and that's cool. And this episode of Launch Coach Football is in the books. I want to thank again Matthew for coming in to fill in as the backup Carson Wentz Jackson Dart host this for this episode. You can catch us anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Amazon. You can catch us on our socials, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. We're always going to be available on Twitch. We do some streamings and stuff. So yeah, any last words you would like to give my brother?
I mean, I would the backup. I mean, this was really nice. But I mean, I mean, I would say backup instead of Carson Wentz, maybe like Tom Brady.
Yeah, this is where you go like Teddy Bradshaw. I'm gonna go for classic backups.
The classic backup.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm Daniel.
I'm Matthew, and thank you guys for allowing me to sit in and catch you next week.
Until next time, same bat channel. Bye.